back. WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We are positively into the Maryland Crab Cake Tour and into the summer season and getting around. We've even got fake football coming up next week for those lucky PSL holders from back in the day. And Dennis Koulatsos joins us now. He is over Coons Baltimore Ford, Security Boulevard. He was not there last week. He was not here this week. If you did not hear his tones on Thursday or visiting us, he had a down week here. And, man, it is good to have you back. I know there's been a plague going around, man. And, like, my wife and I think we had it in the beginning, and different people had it in different ways. I mean, my gosh, I had Jane Miller on. She talked about long-form COVID and all sorts of issues going on. How you feeling, brother? You getting back on your feet, man?
No, I appreciate it, Nestor. I'm feeling better, but like a lot of other people, I wasn't alone in this line of thinking that I've had it before. I must have had it the last 2.5 years, but no, I finally got it. And when you get it, there's a huge difference between thinking you have it and knowing you have it. I felt like I got run over by a truck. I was in bed for 4 days, couldn't even sit up straight. So I really feel for everyone out there who's had it, all the people that lost loved ones to it. It's a terrible, terrible disease. And whatever you can do to avoid it, mask up, vax up, whatever you got to do, avoid it by all means.
Well, I love that you say that. And, I always say this just as a public service thing, right? My wife went into the hospital on March 20th of 2014. They handed us a box of masks, right? And they handed us Purell. And honest to God, I don't even know what that meant. It's not that I'm not germ phobic or whatever. I've been a fist bumper since the 90s because I would go to the barn back in the day, and on a Monday night, everyone would want to shake my hand.
Sure.
And they want to shake my hand at football games. And then you wipe snot, however germs work. I just got sick more. And I remember Cal Ripken not shaking hands sort of famously being aware of germs. And I've talked to him about this on the air and I will talk to him the next time he and I get together. If we get a crab cake, I'll talk to him about it because it really taught me a little bit about just interacting with people with your eyes, with your voice, to be kind to them. But the handshake thing, that's a different level of when you're doing it with 100 people at an event. That's just not something I'm probably ever going to do ever again in my life. And I didn't do it much before my wife got sick. Certainly after my wife got sick, I never did it. And it's wild how offended people can be when they go in for a handshake and you fist bump. But I think the plague, it was wild for people in 15, 16, and 17 who wanted to hug me or get up on me and say, my wife is immune compromised. I don't think you understand. I've watched her almost die twice. It means something different to me. And this illness, we've lost people to viral conditions in their 50s before COVID, that it's not something to be played around with. And I think we're all going to walk the walk a little more seriously. And honestly, at your expense this week, it's stories like this week in August of 2022 that keep me on alert, that I want to make it all 31 days this month, right? That I don't want to, because I'm going to be out with people and I love people.
Well, the most sobering fact, Nestor, is that once you contract this disease, you realize it can take you out. It can take you off of the face of this earth. It can put you 6 feet under. So that's a very sobering thought. The other point I want to make is, how many times have you been to a public restroom or a restaurant or whatever, and you see someone use the facilities? They don't wash their hands. They just grab the door handle and off they go. So with that in mind, I think
I never touch a bathroom door. I haven't touched a bathroom door in 15 years.
Right. I mean,
I grab under. No offense to your Coons Ford shirt, but if I were coming out of any sponsors, I love them. Your place, if I'm wherever I am, I grab the door with this, or I grab it with a napkin. I'd never touch it. And I don't know how I don't say this out loud, Mom. We don't talk about this on the radio, right? But it's how you get sick.
It's mind-blowing that human beings would actually use a restroom and not wash their hands coming out of it. I don't get it. And you're right, the handles, if they're not washing their hands or grabbing that handle, the next person is grabbing it after them. Like you, I use my foot, I use my elbow, whatever I can. I'll wrap my shirt around it, but I'll do everything I can in my power not to grab handles of any type anymore. It makes you very much aware, and not to take ourselves to the Howie Mandel level where, a complete germaphobe, but you have to have an awareness about you, because once you get something really bad, like I just had, it changes your perspective on a lot of different things.
Well, and that's why I want you to talk about it. And it's a public service, and everybody should have a little cold splash of water, because you were among 3 friends of mine that contracted COVID last week that had their ass kicked, like in
Yeah.
a way that all three of you were down like Wednesday and Thursday. By then, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going out 31 crab cakes, moving around. I'm thinking, I said to my wife, honey, we're going to Deep Creek. Let's get out away from people a little bit. Ocean City going down. I elbow
Yeah.
bump everybody. And I offended a dozen people. Literally, I went out last week. People get offended. And I have to say, and then I say, my wife almost died. And then they get ashen face. They're like, okay, okay. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, maybe the next guy, is you and was sick as a dog last week. And I love you. I hugged Gene Ubriaco on Saturday at the Beaumont, one of your favorite places. We went out to lunch together. He called me. He was in town. And I swear to God, he's the only person I've hugged this summer. I love him. I love him like a
Oh,
father.
Gene's
You
a
know what I
good
mean?
man. He's a good man.
I love Gene. And he got up on me. And as I was hugging him, I swear to God, then I was like this, about to give him a hug. And I thought, he's just with all of his grandkids, all of his great
Yep.
grandkids from Canada, from
Yep.
Chicago. He's been all over. He hugged Ray Bachman the other night eating crabs. And like, I'm hugging him and I'm thinking, oh shit, I just hugged everybody you just hugged. I just undid. And I thought about literally you and everybody that had been sick. I'm still treating this like it's plague time. I mean, I'm not masked, but I'm aware and 6 feet.
You
And when
have to
people
be.
get in my 6 feet, I get a little freaky about it.
Yeah. Look, I'm double vaxxed. I'm double boosted. And I thought I'd be the last person. I'm very healthy. I thought I'd be the last person that would get sick. I never get sick. If I get a mild cold, I'll power right through it. That doesn't knock me out. This thing knocked me out and down. I mean, the body aches. I felt like I got run over by a truck, and I've never felt this bad in my life. So
Would you trace
again,
it back to somebody else that was sick, or you have no you have no idea?
I come in contact with where my desk is, in the showroom, and I come in contact with hundreds of people daily. But I thought that I've gotten through it. I've developed immune to it, but that's not the case, Ness. I'm sick as a dog and then some. But again, my heart goes out to everyone who's had it out there, who's lost loved ones. We certainly have lost loved ones in our family, and it's a very sobering thing when you get it. It does make you think, hey, this thing can take me out, and that's you don't think that with a common cold.
Dennis Koulatsos is here with some great, great wisdom. He will sell you a car. He will service your car. He will be here on Thursday, fingers crossed, from 3 until 5, and then back on the weekend. And Den and I are going to work together to maybe put together a little special show before the season starts
That'd be great.
against it. So we're getting up on this. Lamar's out throwing it around, right? I mean, football's prime, and baseball is still relevant. The trading that for the first time, like, they might make some trades here for some players that Buck says might be pile divers in the end. But for the Ravens and easing into this and this Deshaun Watson 6 games, like, all of the news is happening now. And though they're not going to play for 5 weeks, Ryan Jensen ripped his knee up first day, right? Awful, my dude down in Tampa, right?
I know.
That this is going to happen every couple of days. There's going to be big news, whopper news, like the Deshaun Watson thing on Monday morning.
Yeah, I saw a picture of Ryan Jensen the day before he got hurt with his 2 little kids on the field. I'm thinking, what a great guy, great family, great parents, just salt of the earth type of people. And the next day, his fortune changed that quickly. And let's hope for the best for him. It looks like he'll be out for a couple of months, so he's not going to miss the entire season. But I'm sure that Tom Brady's going to miss his leadership. And the Bucs have lost a couple of offensive linemen. One retired, Ali Mappert retired. So that's going to change the landscape of that team. If they hope to progress by keeping Tom Brady upright. But the Ravens, they had the first public practice down at the stadium. Good crowd out there. Lamar Jackson he said he's 230 pounds, Nestor. He's bulked up. I mean, he's gained 25 pounds in the offseason. That's pretty significant for him. I like to see what he looks like running down the field now at 230 versus 205. But on the positive side,
how can he be fat? I mean, like, he's done a lot of ish, right? Like, he is a guy. I'll say this. I'd say it to his face. I'm going to be writing it when I'm going to launch my new column in a couple of weeks. I'll be writing about him because he's the central figure in the movie at this point, right? As I release Purple Rain 2 here this week, chapter 5 through 8, best writing of my career is getting released this week at Baltimore Positive. But Lamar gets better. He's an improver. And I don't know when that stops. He's got a lot of you to man. He's got a lot of noise. He's got a statue in Louisville. He's, you to man. He's the best. One playoff game. Okay. So, like, let's just call it what it is. He's got a lot to prove. And part of that was, I'm going to get bigger. I'm going to get faster. I'm going to get stronger. You're going to pay me more. I'm going to be better. I'm going to win more. So he's at 230 now. I don't know what this does. I remember when Ray Lewis blew up. and blew down. You remember that?
Yep.
I remember when
Yep.
Terrell Suggs lost weight, he was a much better football player, right?
He was.
He was much better in shape than he was out of shape at that position. It stands to reason. Lamar was never not in shape. Lamar may have not been able to take on linebackers. Breaking tackles was never Lamar's thing because you could never catch him. So worried about him breaking a tackle, he'll be harder to tackle.
Well, he'll be harder to kidnap. That's when I tell people when I gain weight. Why do you gain weight? I'm harder to kidnap. I'm a much bigger target. But in all seriousness, hopefully this signals that he'll stay in the pocket more and run less, which is what I hope for him on the team. But let's not forget that Peyton Manning won his first playoff game in season number 6. So for all that noise about him winning in the playoffs or not winning in the playoffs, it's still a team game. It's still 53 men on the field. I think the Kyler Murray signing helps him. I think it frames a different landscape for his new contract versus the Deshaun Watson contract. So I'm hoping that they'll get something done before the season starts. It certainly looks like both sides are working to that end.
Dennis Koulatsos is here. He's doing things and watching football and getting ready for all. So the Lamar showing up and playing under current contract. Orlando Brown says he's going to come and play for the franchise number. I think deep down when the Ravens put this thing together, they just assume he'll play for $23 million. He's not going to hold us up. He's got too much to prove. He cares too much about this, all of that. I don't know the OTA throwdown, and I don't know that they're really going to get a deal done, right?
That's bad business, though. It's bad business on their end. If you like the player and you can't win without him, he's the face of your franchise. He's never been in trouble. Okay, when he was a few years ago, he got caught going 105 miles an hour in his sports car. But aside from that, he's been a model citizen, and I think it speaks volumes for him, for his character to be in camp. He's not holding in. He's not holding out. I think he's back in the Ravens to a corner right now. Who looks bad as an organization? It's not Lamar Jackson.
But what does that mean in the end? Does that mean in the end he'll F you? I'll play this out next year. You know,
well, if that's his
franchise
mindset,
him again unhappily, right? I mean, that's what will. This will get real ugly if it goes well. If he rips his knee up, right? Like.
But if he wins, well, the scale is: does he rip his knee up? Does he win a Super Bowl? And everything else in between. And let's say he's like Joe Flacco. Lightning strikes again. Ravens win a Super Bowl. Everybody's happy. He's not going to get cheaper. His cheapest point right now in his career, it's right now, this moment. And I can't see him playing. I mean, for him to play for $23 million this year compared to all the other quarterbacks out there, it's going to be a complete travesty. It's a slap in his face. The player's there. He's doing all the right things. He's saying all the right things.
So why is it not done? What's it going to take to get it done?
It has to
Does
be.
Does it take August 30th, him walking off the field and saying, I'm not coming to work next week and playing for $1.5 million, get 20 more million guaranteed into this deal, or I'm not playing. And that's what we're talking about now. I mean, Deshaun Watson's going to really play under this contract, miss 6 games at this point. That makes Lamar even more valuable, like literally, right?
It does, but if you and I were his agent, he would not break a blade of grass getting on that field without a new contract, because it doesn't make sense for him to do so. So right now, from a PR standpoint, he has absolutely backed the Ravens into the corner. Had he held out, had he held in, had it been negative with the press, yeah, you can sympathize with the team. He's done the exact opposite. He has painted them as the franchise that doesn't want to extend him. So whatever the money difference is, Nestor, they need to come up with a plan to put it together. And I'm optimistic because it sounds like they have the appetite to put this together, and so does he. So is it the length of the contract? Is it 4 years versus 6 years? Is there a happy medium somewhere? Is it the guaranteed money? I think all these factors will play a role in how quickly this thing gets done. But I do think they have some momentum, and I do think this thing gets done before the season opener.
Okay, so you think when we go to New York, we're talking about Lamar signed for.
Yeah, he'll have
whatever.
He'll have 175, 200 million guaranteed, and he'll be done. And I think that's a key. I think they'll make it happen.
That's less than Deshaun Watson, Dennis. That's less. I'm just pointing that out.
Well, Kyler Murray just signed for less than Deshaun Watson too.
Why should Lamar do that? I agree with everything you're saying about him holding out. By the way,
that's a good question.
And not breaking a blade. I agree with all of your sentiment, especially because he's healthy, right? He's out.
That's a good question. Well, the 37-12 with him. To me, there's so many statistics we can rattle off. I mean, the other part of it is he no doubt saved John Harbaugh's job. He did. I think Harbaugh and a lot of us coaches owe their livelihood right now. Not that Harbaugh couldn't gotten a job someplace else, but he had a great job. He has a great job, and there has to be some reciprocity, which is why John Harbaugh always talked glowingly of his quarterback, because if Lamar Jackson doesn't take over, I mean, I believe that Steve Bisciotti would have cleaned house back in 2018.
Dennis is here. We're going to talk football all year long. He'll be here on Thursday from 3 until 5. Back again on Sunday morning from 8 until noon. Pretty soon it will be game day around here. We got some fake football. Anything? What do you want to see in camp? And I know you'll talk to Luke about that a lot. Moving forward here. But what are you looking for? Lamar's here. He's 230. He's healthy. He's flinging the ball. Cool. Let's keep him healthy. For me, it's Ronnie Stanley, and for me, it's the secondary. The Kyle Hamilton video the other night of him being okay.
Look, that is a show for wide receivers, right? It's unfair, it's simulated, and the wide receiver absolutely has the advantage on every play. That's why we're watching all these kids get burned on social media. That's not real life. I mean, it's in real game where you have other players on the field. When you put all 11 on there, it's a different representation of what a player can do.
No doubt about that. But so
me,
for you, expectations,
nothing.
what are you watching here in the Titans game next week?
I'm watching the offensive line, to be frank with you. That's what I want to see. I want to see the offensive line. Can they gel? Can they go into the season without Ronnie Stanley? Because to me, Ronnie Stanley at this point is a bonus. I'm not counting on him being there. I have no data to suggest he'll be there, except some optimistic words from the head coach, which at this point, I just don't believe it anymore. And I believe Eric DeCosta last year making the same exact statement. So whether it's Jawan James, a left tackle, or Morgan Moses, I want to see the left tackle, left guard position solidified. I want this unit to gel, so that they'll be able to open up holes for their running backs, and also to keep Lamar Jackson upright and healthy. And the other piece is just the defensive line. There's still missing pieces there. Tyus Bowser, of course, David Ojabo still not under contract. So I want to see the Mike McDonald influence on that defense as well. So I do think it's a lot of exciting things for the Ravens fan base to take a look at. And plus the wide receivers, Rashad Bateman, does he truly cement himself as a true wide receiver one in the NFL? Devin Duvernay, James Prochet, how do they fit into that system?
Well, and also how much they're going to pass. What is this going to look like with Lamar, 230 pounds? Are they going to pass more? What's the running attack going to look like? Is Gus Edwards going to be a factor in the fourth quarter the way he can be?
A lot of questions.
Where's Dob? There's more questions about this franchise and optimism too. I mean, there's optimism that this team can win the Super Bowl sight unseen. I will not make a case that they can't win the Super Bowl. But there's also this case of, man, they got a lot of work to do. This is a busy August for them. Luke will be in Owings Mills covering all that. Luke will be joining Dennis on Thursday and on Sunday. Luke will be joining me from Camden Yards to Owings Mills as well. And Dennis Koulatsos powers that up, as well as the Sunday Sports Voice, now heard on Thursday afternoons, a D. Koulatsos show. The way to follow him out on Twitter from 3 until 5 on Thursday, then back again on Sunday. Give me a little speech on buying cars right now as we get up. Kids going back to school, summertime, thinking four-wheel drive, thinking winter, thinking I've got 30, 40 grand on my car. I want to figure out maybe to get a new vehicle. What are we doing right now, Dan?
Yeah, we're doing a ton of factory orders. We're encouraging all of our customers to order ahead as the supply chain continues to be compromised with the chip shortage and other components. So right now we're doing about 50% factory orders and 50% retail sales. The demand is sky high, but get on CoonsFordBaltimore.com and order your new ride, and it'll be here in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year from now. But you're making money. Even if your situation changes, you can always opt out of the vehicle or buy it and make money with it, which is the first time in history that's ever happened in our business, in our industry.
It's like buying Springsteen tickets.
Yeah, there's very few things that go up in value when you buy when you buy them, and whether Springsteen tickets or a new vehicle, it's just
hey Dennis,
great
all
time
your
to buy.
life you've been in cars most of your adulthood. I buy that new car, I drive off the lot. It's worth less. The minute
It's worth less. Now it's worth more. If you can pay MSRP for it, it's worth a lot more. I mean, it's insane. We have the Ford Lightning, something that has an MSRP of $40,000, and that's you take it to auction, you're doubling your money. That thing will do $80,000 at auction right now. It's insane. I mean, you can double your money literally.
I'm in the wrong business. What am I doing over here? Let's go buy some cars.
There's people that are making a business out of it. I mean, we don't prohibit them from doing that. I mean, it's America. So if you can buy a vehicle at MSRP, you can take it You can bring it to us. We'll give you what we'd pay for it at auction. No questions asked. So it's a crazy, crazy market.
Oh man. All right. Well, listen, get better, right? I mean,
I
Dennis
appreciate you.
bouncing
On
back
my way
from
back. On my way.
the Rona, as
Oh my
my
God.
my friend Mike Rosenfeld says at Web Connection. Getting better. Back on the beat. He'll be here Thursday from 3 until 5, getting you ready for fake football and Oriole baseball. I don't know who came up with this Pirates coming to town, being something we should be celebrating around here this weekend. But they will be celebrating 30 years of Camden Yards, and the Orioles have gotten better. Come on back downtown. We got Restaurant Week coming up next month with the Restaurant Association and the Restaurant Week being extended down in the city. So I want to give them some love. I'm going to be all over the place eating crab cakes. 31 crab cakes, 31 breweries in 31 days. It's all brought to you by the Maryland Lottery in conjunction with our friends at Goodwill, with donation, and the Restaurant Association of Maryland. My friend Dennis Koulatsos is getting back on the beat. You can find him over Coons Baltimore Ford Security Boulevard. And of course, our WNST tech service live with cuts. There'll be a lot of that going on here all month long, as well as Luke keeps us abreast of all things Ravens. I am Nestor. We are WNST, AM 1570 Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore positive.